Hello, good evening. You're watching the Cheese Room podcast. I'm live from the Man Cave. It's the caller, and I'm joined by three very special guests this evening. It's been a fantastic weekend for Spurs. In fact, if Carlsberg made weekends, it would look something like ours this weekend. It's been so fantastic. So, without further ado, first of all, we've got our Australian on board making his return. It's very early in the morning there, isn't it, Dave?
Yeah, it's 6 o'clock a.m. as we're on time.
Yeah.
6 o'clock a.m.
I mean, I say Australian, like kind of quasi-Australian, really.
As I've said to you before, I'm a chameleon. I go between English, Australian. I'm an H-Polish as well. There's so many layers. There's so many layers to me that you've just yet to unfold.
Jak się masz, Dave? Jak się masz?
Yeah, absolutely. Robert Lewandowski, Boniek.
Matty Cash.
Yeah, we'll get to Matty Cash. Don't you worry about that. Do not worry about that. Joining us, he's been on a bit of a sabbatical, a Cheese Room sabbatical recently as HG, but this is the first time we've been on the air since you met me, HG.
That's true.
What a great day we had.
We did have a good day. We did. It was a really good day. Eating lots of salmon and watching the Spurs win. You can't get much more poncy than that. But I really enjoyed it. It's been 3 weeks since I was on the show. So you've obviously done brilliant numbers. And I'm sorry that I'll be bringing you down again tonight.
That's all right. Someone's got to, haven't they? It's not going to be the other two. What was your view on hospitality and premium at Spurs? I know you were slightly sceptical going in.
Me? I'll do it for free like I did last time, but I would never pay for it. I mean, it's just mental.
Yeah, but what did you think of it? What did you think of it? Forget the money.
But that's what I just said. Like, that's what I think of it. Like, it's not worth the money at all. But if you wanna feel for like 2 or 3 hours that you're better than average, then spend the money. But otherwise, no. Just I would have rather had my mum's seat in the South Stand, frankly. But it was good seeing you guys, and it was good. You know, like obviously it's good seeing Spurs for free. But hospitality is lost on me.
Glad you got to that bit. Glad you got to the good to see you guys bit. Anyway, good to have you back, HG. We've got 50 people watching already after 2 minutes, so clearly you're not having that much of an impact on viewing numbers. Please do hit the like button when you come in the room. It really helps us out. And next, we've got a person that seems to go to more games than the rest of the Cheese Room combined at Villa Park again at the weekend. Another away fixture for you, Becky. How was it?
It was amazing, and I finally got rid of my hoodoo of away matches this season and saw them win emphatically as well. It was great all round. Last 11th hour, got a ticket, drove there, parked up, got the train in, loved it. Do it all over again.
I was very, very happy you managed to get there after your Twitter appeal for tickets.
Yeah.
11th hour, brilliant, absolutely.
I was
brilliant.
very lucky. Yeah.
And you got to see us stuff the Villa, which is which is always good. So let's talk about it. So Aston Villa, 0 Spurs 4, the final outcome. But the starting lineup, same 11 again. Any surprises with that for you, Becky?
No, I think we thought that he possibly would put Doherty back right wing back, but he didn't. And he stuck with the team that did so well at Newcastle, and started fine.
HG, did you expect to see 2 right backs in the starting 11?
No. I mean, I only expect to see it when the left wing backs are unfit, and since they were both on the bench, it was a bit of a surprise. But I understand the whole "don't change a winning team," but we played Newcastle, and let's be fair, although we scored a lot of goals, we weren't great in that game. We just took our chances, pretty much like the Villa one, really. So I don't blame him for not changing anything, but I think that if all were fit, then he wouldn't play 2 right wing backs, and since most were fit. I don't really understand why you didn't play Reguilon, but it all worked out in the end.
Yeah, and Dave, are you equally as keen on the 2 right wing backs formula?
I thought he'd play. I didn't think he'd change it. I thought he would go with the 2 right wing backs because we won the previous game, and that's what we did. But it's unfortunate how that kind of ended up, really. in a way.
It is, and obviously Doherty sustained a nasty injury pretty early on, really, from Mr. Matt Cash, Matt Cash. I don't know.
Matt Cash.
There you go. There he is. I mean, Becky, what was the atmosphere within the Spurs fans? What were they saying at that point?
I think it's a tricky one because it happened so early on, and it was really nothing kind of happening either. And I think because he tried so hard to carry on, we thought that it wasn't as bad as it turned out to be. I think he went down 3 times and tried to carry on.
He did,
but the Villa fans loved it. It's obviously something that they do, and Gerrard's sort of instilling them to get the crowd behind them early on, and that worked. But yeah, I think we thought it wasn't going to be as bad, and he walked off as well.
And that's ruined his season. I mean, as soon as he got going, HG, that Irish Cafu is out for the season. How big a blow is this?
It's a pretty big blow. I mean, I wanted to look at this earlier, but I didn't. But I do feel like when Doherty came into the side was the Leeds game, right? That's when he came in and played actually right wing back that we wanted him to.
Yeah.
And since then, it might have been the game before that. I really don't remember, but I feel like most of the games he's played, we've won quite comfortably.
Yeah.
Even the Man United game, although we lost, we played really well that day. So I think we're a better side with him at right wing back. I mean, that was probably clear before he even came into the team. But it is a blow because, I mean, I think we're somewhat fortunate that a lot of the teams we have to play will probably go for it against us and will want to try and score. But Royal just isn't as good. So it is a worry, and it's a shame because a challenge like that early on, and I've seen a lot of people talk about how if Romero had done it, we'd all be praising him.
Yeah,
I don't remember Romero doing scissors.
No.
Those scissor tackles that Mings did the same thing to Kulusevski. I know we'll talk about that, but they knew they would get the man and the ball, right? Like you don't have to take both legs and go around the player. You can use both to just go the side of the player and get the ball that way.
Yeah.
And in a nowhere position as well, where it was actually where the tackle took place. It was nothing doing down there, was there?
No, nothing at all. It was nothing.
But I think sorry, go on.
Dave.
I think the Villa fans were also happy because Doherty's ex-Wolves.
Yeah,
so that's probably that's probably why they were really cheering it. But I think that after the last defeat, obviously Gerrard was coming out in the media saying that this isn't acceptable and people are playing for their careers for next season and stuff like that. And they were pretty dirty on the weekend, and I don't think the ref controlled the game at all.
No, I thought the ref was terrible. We will get on to him in due course. I mean, it wasn't the only dirty challenge. I mean, there was this absolute shocker. Again, sort of scissor action. It's like they're practicing it in training. Look at that. I mean, that's bloody terrible.
And you don't need to do it.
Ashley Young completely took out Harry Kane with about 15 minutes to go, which was completely meaningless because the game was over and he had absolutely no need to. I mean, he was stopping a break, I guess, but he could have broken his leg. I mean, some of these challenges, what does that say about the standard of refereeing in the league, HG?
I mean, those challenges don't really indicate the refereeing, but it's just like, I've had issues with Graham Scott previously because he was the ref when we played Brighton at home last year, and was it Højbjerg that got clattered and then Brighton went on to score?
Yeah.
He seems to be quite lenient on tackles against Spurs players, and I understand you want to get your early kind of reducer in and try and see if the other side are up for it, but we were already 1-0 up at that point, so it just felt like a bit redundant to try and do that. And as I said before, you don't need to scissor tackle anyone ever. You don't need to do it. Yes, you can say you won the ball, but what you're doing and what's going to happen. Both of those players could have easily just taken the ball and had both legs in front of the player. I mean, we talk about the foul that we all laugh about when Romero clattered Richarlison from the side, right? The clearest yellow card you'll see all season, but he absolutely just he came from the side and he took the legs. He didn't go around. He didn't try to do that scissor motion. So Graham Scott is that famous C word, but I don't think it's indicative of the entire refereeing community, thankfully.
But it's also the case that you've got Gerrard as the manager, who the Liverpool loving media that we have in the UK and probably around the world as well. Everyone really wants him to succeed at Villa and then take over from Klopp. That's the narrative that they're peddling. And
narrative, Dave.
You said narrative first all those years ago. And but the fact is, I mean, the overseas commentary, we had Jim Beglin, who's ex-Liverpool player, and all he said is that each tackle that went in, he just said the Villa player just left a little in on each challenge, and no one's condemned it in the media or anything like that. But the thing, going back to Doherty's injury, I'm concerned about it because it's a knee injury, and knee injuries are pretty notorious for being difficult to recover from. We all hope that he recovers quickly, but they're talking 3 months. So that takes him to July and pre-season. So, I hope that he recovers the form that he was in before he got injured.
It's just sad I feel for Doherty more as much as I do for Tottenham, because he was just finding form. He's had such a rough time in his career and been called every name under the sun by certain members of the support base. And then this happens to him when he's actually finding his feet. It's just a real shame. What is criminal? 77 watching it. There's more than that. 85 now. 15 likes. Come on, let's get that like number up. We can do better than that. There we go, Paul. MCL is 12 to 15 weeks minimum. So
I mean,
to start next season.
To rupture a knee ligament. I mean, Paul will know this better than I do, clearly. But to get your MCL, I mean, we should be pretty lucky. It wasn't in actual, one of the ACLs, one of the cruciates that usually 9 months.
Yeah.
So to rupture any ligament in the knee is bad enough, but it's almost like he got the lesser of the two, assuming there are only two. I'm no expert, but 3 months he's out. As Dave said, he's out for the season. He's out for all the island games in the summer, whether it's Nations League or I guess they've got qualifiers for something. I don't know what. He's out, and maybe next season we'll have signed a couple of players and he won't get a look in again. I mean, you just don't know, and it's a shame because he's been played out of position for most of his Spurs career, and finally he got a chance to do what he was doing at Wolves, the reason why we signed him, and 5-6 games later he's out for the season. And
weirdly, if Conte had played Doherty in the right wing back position, it wouldn't have been him on that side of the pitch, it would have been somebody else like Reguilon. That's the other ironic thing about it, is that he played left wing back and it was the left wing back that got injured.
Yeah. And now we've got, the only solution I can see is to play the Brazilian legend that is Emerson Royal at right back for the rest of the season, who's also been much maligned by the support base. HG, do you see any other potential solutions to that right wing back slot for the rest of the season?
I think I know what you want me to say. You talked about Brazilians, and I was like, is he going to say it for me? Emerson is probably first choice, but I think that if we do want attacking thrust down that side, then Lucas would be the next best option. Yes, depending on the team you play. Against Liverpool, I probably would want Emerson there. But considering Romero's such a good player and he's behind him, and Lucas does run all day, if nothing else, I think that if you want attacking thrust, then Lucas would be the perfect person for it. I don't think it really suits Bergwijn as much as Lucas, but if you want to have something different, then Lucas would be the person for me.
Agree with that, Dave?
I think there's 3 options. 2 of them are Brazilian, obviously. Emerson, Moura, or you play Reggie as the inverted. I mean, I'm pretty sure in my foggy memory I've seen him cross the ball with his right foot. So it's possible that he could play there as well. I definitely would not put Cesc there at all. We just need him to get to grips with keeping his hamstrings fit and playing a run of games, so not play him on the left-hand side. But I think Emerson, for me, what summed it up just at the after the second half started, he gets the ball, he goes in, and he gives the ball away straight away. And Jim Beglin said that Conte was going absolutely nuts on the sideline, and I think that sums up Emerson. And to be fair, people are saying, well, he's new, he's young to the country, and this, that, and the other. But if I look at Emerson versus Ben Davies, Eric Dyer, and Doherty himself have all massively improved under Conte, who's only been in since November. We haven't seen that from Emerson. It's all very linear in terms of the fact that he doesn't get to the byline.
He's steady Eddie, though, isn't he, Emerson? I think what he gives you is defensive stability. He gives you nothing going forward, and that's surely the issue with our system.
Yeah, but the issue there is that we're, in this modern game with even if we played flat back four with fullbacks, you still expect your fullbacks to bomb forward and then your defensive midfielders to sit behind them when they do that. And he can't even do that. He's a bit like Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah,
but I think the good thing is when we talked about earlier in the season when it was Royal and Lucas down that right hand side before we signed Kulusevski, and we really had nothing. Now, if we do have the left wing back that bombs forward a bit more, because Doherty's done that now, and Reguilon will do it, then you shift the rest of the defense over, so it almost becomes a back four. Davies moves to left back, Dyer and Romero are the centre halves, and then Royal can be that right back. And if Kulusevski stays wide, which he likes to do much more than Lucas ever did, then you've still got balance on the pitch. And I think that's really what we were missing. If we had, weirdly enough, if Lucas was the attacking midfielder and he was always cutting inside because that's what he wanted to do, then we would need a more attacking, wing back to kind of provide that width. We don't necessarily need it now because Kulusevski seems much more willing to hug the touchline. There were a couple of occasions against Villa where he did that and the ball was played out to him. And then we could he had space to move into, but so maybe it will work with Emerson much more just because it gives either Sessegnon or Reguilon more chance to go forward.
Yeah, we shall see. I'm pretty sure it will be Emerson in right back at least to start with, right wing back I should say. Another man, Højbjerg, Becky. He had a good game, didn't he? But
Bentancur didn't have his greatest game, but it meant that Højbjerg was fairly solid, but he didn't like all of the fouls. He was constantly in the ref ear. That picture just sums it up really, that big scrape on the inside of his calf as well. But yeah, it was one of those, it was an intense sort of, battle, but I didn't think Højbjerg had a great game. He didn't provide much, but he was fine coming back. Certainly in the first half when we seemed to have about 15 players in the box, he was one of them.
Yeah.
I thought Højbjerg first half was pony, to be honest with you. You remember the set piece when they did the little dink over and Watkins on goal?
Yeah.
He was still talking to Lloris. He wasn't even looking at the ball. I thought first half I don't think he had a good game first half. It got better in the second half.
I bet he pounded his chest though, didn't he? And went, ah.
Yeah, and waved his arms about a lot. But
yeah,
I remember
there
was one in the second half as well where I think, the one when Lloris very near the end and Lloris sort of passed it out and whoever it was just shot it straight over like almost an open goal. Yeah. There was one just before that where Højbjerg sort of cleared it straight up in the air. And it just invited more pressure. Obviously, the game was over by then, but I'm sort of looking at games where it's going to be possibly closer and they're going to be the knife edge sort of moments and he's just oofing it back up in the air. Yeah. Bentancur's got a lot more thought about him, a lot more of an intelligent player, although he didn't have his greatest game.
No. Of course, we haven't spoken about our wonderful Son opener, which came after just 3 minutes. The perfect start. Kane skewing a shot into a defender that was going, nearly foot towards the corner flag. And Son scoring a great finish, really. Becky, how did that go down amongst the travelling fans? I bet you're in raptures, weren't you? 3-0.
Yeah, it was amazing.
1-0 up and just got there,
Yeah, the atmosphere was great pretty much from when the Arsenal result came in. That came in, I think it was about 5:05, and everybody was singing, and you could see the players' faces. They were sort of ironically laughing, thinking, what's everybody cheering about? And then they kind of twigged what happened. But the atmosphere just kind of continued from then. To score such an early goal, the atmosphere was, as it always is, immense anyway. And a lovely range of songs this time as well. Loads of different songs that were sung. But yeah, great finish. Almost on like the half volley and left on corner, left footed. Great.
Shout out to Kerry, one of our channel members. I've seen lots of members in the chat today. Thank you for your support. If you want to get your channel membership, it's available in our YouTube bio now. Lots of great custom emojis, so make sure you're using those today, members. Kane just can't find the net, can he, HG, at the moment? But he's doing everything else.
If we win 4-0 or 5-1, or if we win, if we win of any kind, I don't care who scores. Kane might, but I don't. I don't have Kane on the back of my shirt. I have Tottenham on the front of my shirt. That's what I care about. So it's it's great. I mean, I know we haven't talked about those goals yet, but just his overall play. I've talked about other players in the Premier League who look as if they've mastered this level and are just already like one step ahead of everyone else, no matter what. Kane is there right now. Like, he knows what he needs to do. The players know what he's going to do, and we're working really well. So Kane may not be on the end of things. I don't really remember him even missing a good chance against Villa. But when you're 4-0 up, it doesn't matter. I would hope that Kane doesn't care. I would hope he's like me and just thinks that the team is more important.
I'll tell you what as well, HG, 24 hours later after that wonderful performance, he's in Augusta at the golf, Dave. What a man. Knows how to rock and roll, doesn't he?
Well,
Yeah.
Can't he watch it on the telly? Shouldn't he be resting at the business end of the season? Or am I being grumpy?
You are being a bit grumpy. I'm pretty sure he's quite well rested on his private jet.
There's nothing rock and roll about golf, caller. That was the part that got me.
You tell Ian Poulter that. Eh?
I wouldn't. Why would I speak to Ian Poulter? Isn't he a gooner?
He is a gooner, but he knows how to party.
Isn't there the quote about golf that it's a good walk interrupted?
I take it I'm on my own in liking golf here, then.
No, you can like golf. But it's not rock and roll. Come on now.
You haven't been on some of the rounds I've been on. It's been all rock and roll.
You haven't played crazy golf with two kids who are trying to hit each other with their golf sticks. Now that's rock and roll.
Well, I've got all that to come. Don't worry about that.
You do.
Don't worry about that.
I'll give you some tips offline.
I'm sure you will. Reggie came on, obviously, for Doherty. Becky thought he was pretty decent on the whole.
Yeah, he got fouled, didn't he, almost immediately as well. And he went back to that game, was it at the West Ham game, when his arms were all over the place and he sort of, his legs fell off. But once he kind of calmed down, I thought he played all right. I think it benefits the player that's on Conte's side of the pitch. Watching Conte come back again today, he's constantly and kind of all this, and I think that helps Reguilon. It's helped the people playing at left back and that sort of thing. So
anyone on that side of the pitch
really benefits from it. Yeah.
There you go. And then to say we were on the back foot was a bit of an understatement, wasn't it? HG, we were getting. Thank you, Dean. Shout out, Dean. You're a wise man. We were getting battered, really, weren't we, HG, for a good sort of 20-minute period. We couldn't get out of our half, and I thought, oh, gosh, we're in a bit of trouble here. But Hugo to the rescue. Much maligned this season. Well, not this season, but for a few games, he's dropped a couple of Hugo-esque clangers, and then he performs like that. I thought he was absolutely fantastic.
Even you talk about the Newcastle goal. I mean, that went in on Hugo's side. We all sat there in the stadium and thought, oh, that doesn't look great. But yeah, outstanding in the first half, because as much as Villa were bending the rules a little bit, they also had a midfield three plus Coutinho ahead of them. They had four in that midfield area with two up top, and again we only had the two. And so if Kulusevski and Son aren't dropping back, and I think we talked about this at half time, if you don't have your attacking midfielders dropping back to create more numbers in midfield, you get outrun. And Højbjerg and Bentancur, they struggled. They absolutely struggled in that first half. So, yeah, credit to Lloris because he kept us in it. And we could have easily been 2-1, 3-1 down, let alone up at half-time. But that save from Ramsey, I mean, that was class. Everything else was kind of at him and you thought he would do it. I'm surprised that Ings hit it straight at him from that free kick.
Oh, yeah, he really messed that up, didn't he? Really messed that up.
That save from Ramsey was world class. It was almost past him when he kind of lifted the elbow up to kind of get to it. Son was right in his interview after the game. Lloris, to me, was probably the man of the match because if had we been down at half time, would we really have scored 3 in the second half? I'm not sure we would have. So it was crucial that we had that Lloris did what he did.
110 people watching. Please do hit that like button for us, and let's get that number up through the broadcast. I saw a note from the Observer. Villa were just brutal for that spell. Not only the aggression, but 14 efforts on goal in that first half period. Dave, were you a little bit worried?
Very worried. Very worried. I mean, we got to half time and I came up with the match-winning suggestion of bringing on Winks, taking off Kulusevski and bulking up the midfield. I'm so glad that
I was
Conte listened to
ridiculing
me.
you at that point. Yeah.
Well, it was a half serious, half putting the fishing rod out to you, my friend.
Yeah,
And I'm so glad that we didn't do that. But I once said that we should buy Joey Barton. So what do I know?
Becky, you miss all of this banter.
I know.
That group, you know.
I know. No.
But what was it like in the stadium when we were on the back foot? I think
like Dave said, there were a few that you hoped that Hugo would save. There were a few that were straight at him. The Ings one, from where we were, it just looked like he had to get it on target and it was going in. And then seeing it back on replays, and I'm not sure how much Emerson put him off, but that was shocking.
Emerson doing his job.
The other thing as well is because of all of the injuries and the amount of times that the physios and everything were on, it was about a 67-minute first half. It went on forever. And then I think they had 3 really good chances in injury time, didn't they? You know, we kept conceding corners, we kept conceding free kicks. Kulusevski got booked for that nothing over by the corner flag. And that was one of their best chances that they had, where they nearly kind of shot it straight in the corner. And that was obviously all at our end. But yeah, I think it was just relief. Like I said at the Newcastle game, you know, equalising before half time was huge. And again, not conceding before half time, you know, Conte, we all hoped that Conte would have a word and it would sort of change things a little bit kind of mentally, and then did. And again, coming out and scoring so early like they did at Newcastle just sort of changes everything. And you could see it, you could feel it in the crowd as well. Villa knew that it was going to be a long afternoon.
Relief from the Spurs fans. Dave-O, since he signed his new contract, some have speculated that Hugo's got off the boil, and indeed Son. Is there anything you want to talk about?
Off the boil, I mean, you know, let's take Lloris first. I think his form was really dodgy going into lockdown. And then after Project Restart, he was excellent up until when he signed the contract. Once he signed the contract, he has made a few, you know, the Newcastle error. I still stand by the fact that Chelsea first goal at their place in the league, he should have made more of an effort.
And at Wolves, the goals conceded at Wolves weren't great either. He parried them straight to attackers, didn't he?
Yeah. So he's and then at Man City, the goal that their equaliser that one as well that he spilled. But then and after that, in the second half at Man City, he made some amazing saves. He was man of the match. HD, I agree on the weekend, because without him, we wouldn't have won the game. It's as simple as that. So you know, I think it would be good if next season. So hang on, how many years contract has he signed now? Has he got
2
next season? So has he got next season as well? And that's it, or has he got another one?
Next season and the one after.
2 more. So what I would like to see in the summer is that we get in some decent competition for him for his place.
Yeah.
I mean, there's talk about signing the West Brom keeper, who, you know, he's 29, 30, Sam Johnson. And if he hasn't really made it with a top club by then, you've got to question it. But I think he'd be a better backup than our rapping Italian goalkeeper. So that's that one. In terms of the going off the boil for Son, you know, it's a strange one, because I think we talked on here and I've talked on the pod as well that since he's come back from injury, there's been times where he's looked a little bit diffident and not confident in front of goal. I mean, the Man City, with the Kulusevski goal at Man City, on the one hand, you could say, well, it was a great cross by Son and good presence of mind to play him in. But most other times you'd thought he'd have had a go himself, yeah? So, but on the weekend, when he had that one-on-one and he pulled it away beautifully, I don't think he'd have done that a few weeks ago. But his numbers and his stats this season, probably one of his best seasons. So it's all contradictory. So in other words, I'm just talking bollocks.
I was waiting for you to get to that and hoping that you'd reach the conclusion I reached about 5 minutes ago.
I thought you reached that conclusion last July.
I did. Yeah, I did. Becky, Danny Ings wasn't particularly impressive. Obviously missed the chance that you mentioned. A lot of Spurs fans wanted him in the summer, myself included to a degree. He's not really done the business for Villa, and you know he's warming the bench half the time and missing chances like that. Did we dodge a bullet, do you think? Because he's on, I think, over $100,000 a week contract there.
Yeah, I think we did, and he's injury prone as well. Certainly, Ollie Watkins was livelier than Ings was. Yeah, I think he's past the best part of his career now, and he'll probably move on from Villa to somewhere sort of mid-table or lower, I think, unfortunately for him.
HG?
I think a lot of Ings' best performances for Southampton and maybe even for Liverpool, he was a lone striker.
I thought you were going to say they were against Spurs.
Well, that too. But I actually the first game I saw at the new stadium, we played Southampton, and he missed an absolute sitter in that game, Danny Ings. So I do think that's the biggest thing with Villa is that obviously it was Dean Smith that signed him. I don't know if he signed him to be a first team player or to be squad depth, which is what he would have been for Spurs. But I think he's on 150 grand a week. Spurs were never going to pay that for a backup, even though we do need a second striker. I just don't think that would have presented to be good value. So it's weird because Watkins has spent a lot of his career in a one striker system. Ings has done seems to have done the same. Maybe they just don't work well together yet because they may not have played too well together. But Ings is a good striker. I just if Villa have got value for money so far, probably not. But considering that they're owned by billionaires too, I'm not sure they're that fussed. And they're trying to get to where Spurs are. They want to be up there in the top four if they can, and the only way they're going to do that is by being quite smart with the money they have. And as much as Ings, there's no real return. There's no sell-on value. It's not a bad deal really for a guy that's Premier League proven. Gerrard, I don't think has really figured out how to utilize the players he's got, because I think Villa do have a lot of decent forward players. I mean, Leon Bailey came off the bench. He cost them a lot of money. Buendia was on the bench. Coutinho's now there. That they've got options, but I think that Villa's biggest problem is that Gerrard doesn't really know what his best 11 is.
I mean, because we talked about this in the summer when is it Christian Perslow, their CEO, came on and did that. It didn't come on the cheese room, but we talked about the.
Why not?
I don't know. He wasn't there. But he talked about, he issued that, he did that statement or that video conference, whatever, about, Grealish has gone and we've spent the money on this. And I lauded him and his communication to the fans, whereas you two, but not you, said he was monotonal and boring. And then we had a 5-minute discussion about that.
Are you sure that wasn't you we were talking about?
So I'm giving them to you tonight, caller. All right, I'm giving them to you, knocking them up. You put them away. So I look, they went and spent the Grealish money. I lauded them for the sensible work in the transfer market. I think we should have got Ings because I think it's absolutely scandalous we don't have a backup striker for Kane.
Or do we?
Well, hang on. But then, to quote you, hang on. And then we see with Llorente, I was very surprised after he left to find out we paid him more than 100 grand a week. We paid him 100 grand a week, where he sat on his arse most of the time. And then when
he
came
used his arse to score, if I remember right.
His hip. Yeah, his hip.
Some say his arse, some say his hand, but VAR ruled the day, and we're all happy, right? But I just think that I don't think it's such a bad thing to buy an experienced Premier League striker or a decent Championship striker and have them on the bench, or sometimes playing two up top with Kane. Kane's got the adaptability for that, and I think the summer before that we wouldn't pay the money for Watkins, which was 25 million, 30 million.
30 million, I think it was.
30 million. So we've paid 25 million for Hill and 25 million for Royale. So, that's the thing. I think we should have a backup striker. So who is our backup striker? Son, is that what you're saying?
No. Did you see the goal that Troy Parrott scored at the weekend?
God's sakes.
Yeah, I did, but I don't think he really counts considering he's playing for Milton Keynes. I mean,
it still counts. It's still football.
He's a backup. You might as well say I'm a backup striker. Troy Parrott can't play for Spurs this season, so therefore he's not.
Oh, we're
really...
talking next season. I'm talking.
Oh well, okay. Well, I don't think Dave was.
I'm not talking this season. Obviously, that ship has kind of sailed along with the transfer windows, so that's not going to happen, is it? But look, we've got Dane Scarlett coming through, and we've got Troy Parrott. Troy Parrott is starting to prove that he is the player that we all want him to be, and that's not the first good goal he's scored this season. He's been banging him in for fun. You're a fan of Troy, aren't you, HG?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's weird. Do you remember that pre-season game a few years ago where Kane beat Chesney from the halfway line? Right, the Juventus game. Troy Parrott came on in that game, and I saw enough in the 20 minutes he played. Then I thought there's something about him. Right, I think he hit the post in the game, and it was the movement of his body to kind of get the defender away from him before side footing it showed me that he he's more than just talent. Like he's got something upstairs. It didn't really work out for him last season at Millwall and Ipswich, but this season he seems to have knuckled down, and he just turned 20. So like, yes, in theory, it would be lovely if let's say Kane goes off into the sunset and Parrott takes over, would be incredible. But I think that Parrott needs a few more games at a lower level before he can really be trusted to be even a backup for Spurs. I do think he's got the talent, but if he comes back to Spurs in the summer of 2023, he's still only 21 and a half, not even.
Yeah.
That's still pretty young. And
how old was Kane when he broke it? Was he 21, 22?
Well, Kane was 21 when Poch took over, about that. So
21,
there's not much difference. I just think that, it's lovely to see him. He's playing well. He's now scoring goals. It was a brilliant volley to get a point for Milton Keynes. And let's hope he does it next year. If Milton Keynes go up and they're in the Championship, keep him there. Obviously, the manager trusts him. He's going to play him, most weeks. It's a great situation. I'm almost I don't like saying this because it is franchise FC, but I'm almost an MK fan right now.
I like
them to go up.
I like them. Nice stadium. I appreciate the whole.
But you understand because like they moved for money, and so would you. That's it. But
wow! He's back. He's back. Wow! He's back. He's on fire. Does anyone know how many years are left on Parrott's contract?
I think it runs out in 23, but I think the Spurs want to extend it.
And the season after, yeah. They
Right.
normally have an option to extend though these youth players. So I don't know. Obviously,
I think it's weird. I do think Spurs seem to be more reticent to kind of praise Parrott right now. There's various rumours going out about how Spurs aren't sure if Parrott's going to be what maybe we want him to be. And I'm sure that's based on his personality or his character or whatever. But it would be in Spurs' interest to extend that deal. I think he's proven enough now. Even if it's just a couple more years, he's not going to be asking for 50, 60, 70 grand a week. So why not?
Look at that bit of biffo between us, HG.
Oh, biffo. Eat your Lamington, Cameron. Come on now.
It's just such a great word, isn't it? Bit of biffo.
Biffo, mate.
Mark's saying, welcome to the YouTube, as a YouTube channel member, I should say, Mark. Levy is hoping that Conte wants Scarlett or Paris back up so he can spend the money elsewhere. But I mean, that would be good enough. But,
spend the money elsewhere, strengthening the cinema. Sorry, move on.
I mean, Bergwijn, I see a few comments in the chat about Bergwijn not being content to hang around as backup. But I mean, he's got a contract, number one, Becky. But do you think that we'll see more of him maybe next season?
It's that thing about having the 5 subs. I think, if we've got 5 subs, he is going to get more time to play, and it's whether that is enough for him. And, that carrot and stick is enough, or whether he does go elsewhere. Because what's interesting is when he came on Saturday, his Kane kind of went more sort of up front, Bergwijn sort of went left and more sort of in the middle, and nothing really happened. I can't remember them having anything. It was just passing it around and lots of Olé in the crowd. Nothing really happened. That kind of intensity had gone. And I was thinking, this is what it would be like if Kane was actually playing up front. And it was quite boring. So it's changing the formation, isn't it? And how we sort of play. And with Son off, it's Bergwijn, and it just, everything just sort of changed. And it didn't look massively hopeful if that's what Kane's going to do and play up front like that.
Yeah.
I think Bergwijn's got 2 years left on his contract this summer, isn't he?
No, it'll be longer than that. He only signed in 2020.
He's got at least 2 years left.
I think it's at least till 25, if not longer.
Charlie Kane-esque 6 years.
No, I just think you know what Spurs are like. We do like to give longer deals to people because we gave Lucas another 4.5 years after Amsterdam, and so I just think that if he signed in 2020, it's at least 2024 that his deal runs to. So it's just weird because 4 weeks ago we thought we might not get any kind of European football because we were 8th in the league and it looked like we might struggle. And now here we are kind of in the driving seat for Champions League football. So there are going to be games next season. I don't doubt we'll get at least Europa League. So you've got to keep players around. If we want to have a deep squad, and because right now we don't have a deep squad, right? And we're seeing it. If anything happened to our front three, we would struggle a lot more than we have been. So we need to keep people around that Conte trusts, and I do think he trusts Bergwijn. So I hope that Bergwijn stays. But if Bergwijn wants to go, it's going to be a tough call. But Kane wanted to go last year. Tough luck, Stevie. Would be my take on things.
Yeah. Just on this, Franco's been a busy bee, and patrons should be receiving around the world soon. I understand the Brit ones are probably going to get them first. It takes about 6 months to get to Australia, doesn't it, Dave?
It's got to get through immigration and get a visa, so it's 3 years.
That's what I mean. But the patrons are getting their T-shirts, mugs, and lapel badges. If you'd like to become a patron, then check out the scrolling ticker at the bottom. It's got the website on it and details of what we offer. Thanks to new patrons. We've had 3 new ones lately, one of which is in the chat. Gov, there he is. Who would put Bergwijn at right wing back till the end of the season? I agree with that.
I've seen that quite a lot today.
I'd love to see that, but where we'll get to, we don't know. Dave is taking the Aston. I suggested that, Paul, actually. I suggested that. Dave
was it you who suggested it? I thought it was Franco.
No, it was a conversation between the two of us, and then I mentioned it to you, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
If you need someone to fly over and deliver everything, I will happily do it. Right?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I don't like Australia, so I don't want to come.
But Becky and I are teachers. We've got lots of time.
Oh, yeah. Rub it in. Yeah.
Hang on. Why don't you like Australia?
Because people like you live there. You really want them that?
So we've got Australian cheeseheads. You don't like Australians. That's nice.
I didn't say I don't like Australians.
You just don't like me?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll go. You come over and I'll go on holiday. I'll go.
Bit of biffo, mate. Bit of biffo.
I'm going to have a bit of biffo in North London, won't
I? Do you know the irony of that brutal first half by Villa? Højbjerg taps into Coutinho and gets a yellow card. How does that work, Becky?
Kulusevski's is very soft as well.
Yeah.
Down by the corner flag. Yeah, I know. There isn't any logic to it. And he finally booked Young, didn't he? But Young's wasn't enough. He should have sent Young off as well. And I don't know, maybe he was starting to listen. But yeah, stupid.
Well, Conte certainly thought about things and obviously had a chat to them at half time because we came out slightly a different team. And within 5 minutes, it was 2-0 with Kulusevski finding the net again. Let's take a minute to appreciate that man. HG, you're allowed at this moment to be smug.
Here we go.
Can someone go back to sometime in the summer when we were doing our Euro shows and we were talking about transfers? Yeah. Someone needs to go back and get the video of me saying how much I rated Kulusevski because I did. I really did. This is not just you guys will back me up.
Yes.
I don't know what it is. Do you know what I mean? I think it's just decision making to me, because yes, he's skillful. Yes, he can do lots of things, but he makes good decisions, and I love that in football players. So when he gets the ball, like to be honest, I didn't think he was going to try and shoot. I thought he would be trying to hold the ball up and wait for someone to come from deep, and he just shifts it, half a yard and then through Mings' legs. But it was unerring, it was accurate, and that's what you need. He hit it well, and
his right foot as well. His right foot as well.
So I like Kulusevski, and I can say that now, but it looked better before he came to Spurs, and everyone thought he was overpriced and rubbish, and I was like, no, he's the business.
What I do like is Daniel Harrison's calling you out here. You rated Rangnick as well.
Yeah, I do. I do rate Rangnick, but the system that he loves doesn't work at United because he doesn't have the players for it. But I do rate Rangnick. Like if you want someone to come in and be that kind of sporting director, fair enough. As a manager, yeah. I never wanted Rangnick to be manager.
Even the broken clock's right twice a day, hey?
No, I agree.
Don't be so harsh about yourself there, caller. Yeah,
Dave, what are you going to say, Dave?
I hate to say it, but I agree with HG. Rangnick, director of football, not a manager. Yeah, you can't judge Rangnick on the mess he's inherited in that dressing room.
No, I completely agree. Just going back to Kulusevski, obviously it's worth, I think, refreshing ourselves with the deal. It's a deal. It's a steal. It's the sale of the fucking century, mate. So there it is. 10 million loan fee till 2023. I mean, so basically, we're going to pay 35 million euros in the summer for him, aren't we?
Well,
Becky?
extra. Yes, we've already paid 10 million euros.
Yeah. Which is what, 8 million quid? Like is
about
10
that.
million?
Yeah.
So the whole deal was going to cost us what? Just over 40 million.
I mean, it's a fair chunk of money. I mean, he didn't come cheap at all. I mean, that's. I think that, you know, obviously we thought, well, if it doesn't work, we've only spent 10, right? And if it does work, then 40 million euros or 45 million euros doesn't seem like a bad deal. But it's still quite expensive considering we got, Brian Hill for 25 plus Lamella, so what, 20? Then it's, I don't know, but yeah, it all depends on when we pay the money. Is it going to be over the length of his contract? Is it going to be, how many installments, all the rest of it? But we've got a player, and if we're paying what 8 million quid a year for the next 5 years, done. We'll take that deal tomorrow.
He's got the right temperament for Conte, and he's just adapted to everything so quickly. Everyone was sort of so pleased that he has, slotted in so quickly in the Premier League, and it hasn't taken time to adjust. And yeah, it's just lovely, and he's great. And long may it continue.
Yeah. I mean, I've struggled to think of two new players have come in and made such a difference to us. I can't think of two for a long time. They've really helped turn this season around, and fingers crossed we get fourth. A massive contribution from those two, and he is such an upgrade on Mora and Bergwijn in that position. He really is.
Yeah.
You very rarely see him make the wrong decision, like you said. He's an intelligent player. You don't really see the ball run out or he make the wrong pass. It's just
how long has
really
it been
refreshing.
since we spent a fee on a player and it worked out well? Like if he's 41 million, I mean that would make him like. I mean, we might not, as I think Gov pointed out in the chat, we might wait till the following year because it might make financial sense to do so. But how long has it been since we spent 40-odd million on a player and it turned out good?
No, well, I mean, can we count Romero? I know we haven't bought him yet, but we always look
candidate. But
we always look at the the list of the top 10 most expensive signings for Spurs, and it's like Ropey, and then Son is like 8th or 9th, and that's about it. And it looks like we've bought two world-class players for a lot of money in the last 7 or 8 months. And that is Paratici. I mean, granted, he knows those players really well, but he bought them for Italian football. And here he is, and he just thinks, no, they're good enough no matter what. And that's a player that we need. We need players that will come in, as Becky said. They understand that Romero doesn't speak a word of English, but thankfully Dyer speaks Spanish pretty well. And so he has a way into the squad. And obviously I expect that when he signed, Nuno's Spanish is probably pretty good because Portuguese is so close. And Kulusevski speaks English. So the squad kind of comes together, but it's a mentality thing. And both of those players have the mentality that we want at Spurs. I think that's it.
Knowing Levy, if we buy Kulu this summer for a lower fee, I'd agree with that as well. It depends how he's going to squeeze the pips out of Juve, I guess. And
the other great thing is he seems really happy as well. So things that he's been saying, that's really lovely to hear as well. You don't always hear that from Steve Bergwijn. You don't hear as much about how much he loves the club. I know Lucas Moura always says that he does, but it's lovely hearing Kulusevski saying how much he's enjoying being here as well, because it's a big change for him.
Oh, massive.
The good thing is, like Kulusevski talks about, he's playing for Tottenham, right? As if it's like an honour to play for Tottenham, this big club, and he's playing week in, week out, which he wasn't at Juventus. But he almost might be the first player that remembers, only really knows Tottenham as being a top 6 team.
Yeah. Right?
Because if it's been, 12 years since Redknapp took us to 4th?
Yeah.
Kulusevski's 22 in a couple of weeks. Like, he literally may only remember Spurs as being a pretty big club, which it's good that we're finally getting to that stage because, we've seen before, a lot of players would look at Spurs and think, maybe this is the high point. Maybe they're not going to stay there forever. And Kulusevski's thinking, well, no, they've been there or thereabouts for a number of years. I want to be part of that. It's great.
Yeah, we won't be playing many 45 to 50-year-olds who remember Tottenham being a top 6 club in the 80s.
There you go.
And again, And again, a great assist by Harry Kane, Becky. Flicked
Yeah.
it on. Beautiful
Yeah.
header. Knew
Yeah,
where
great.
everyone was, didn't they, on the pitch?
Yeah, strong, held the defender off. Just sort of glanced it to him. There's a better assist afterwards that I'm sure we'll talk about. But yeah, that one was great as well. I just love the fact that Kulusevski scored with his right foot, because we've been talking about if he's going to cut inside off the left and people will notice him for it. And he scored with his right foot. The crowd went absolutely mental, and it was so lovely hearing the "Gimme Gimme" song. Because as I said on Twitter, I'd only heard it in pubs or on the concourse, and to actually sing it. And he noticed, if you see his celebration, he sort of turns to us and sort of fist pumps the air. He'd heard it, and his girlfriend has tweeted the Spurs fans singing it as well, which is really nice. So he's kind of getting that connection with the fans as well really quickly. So that's lovely.
And it's true, you're less ginger in real life, right?
Yeah. It's my kitchen.
Sorry.
Oh, Becky was saying she looks a bit ginger before.
Yeah, this kitchen makes me look really ginger and blonde. But
Yeah, this lighting makes me look a bit grey. Don't know what it is.
Don't know what it is. Graham,
No idea.
I'm really, really thin and, got a lovely flowing dark hair. Anyway, let's move on from us. On 66 minutes, Romero whips a ball from the right back area of the centre circle. Harry knew exactly where Sonny was, didn't he? I mean, like, that's the assist I assume you're referring to. Becky.
Yeah, the little look, doesn't he? If you see it back, because they've shown angles from behind the goal, he kind of looks first to see where Sonny is, and then just sort of. But people would struggle to do that with their foot, and he did it with his head, and it was perfectly weighted, right in front of Son, so he knew exactly what was going to do with it, and just left foot straight in. And Gerrard knew that was the game over. Conte knew the game was over. The way Conte dived into the dugout, he knew that was the goal. Immense. Kane is just superb.
HG, I mean, we've talked about Kane prior, but how good was that assist?
And it's Kane. I mean, I know Becky's seen my comment on Twitter, but like the fact that he looked. That's almost top class by itself. Most players, like if I'm looking at the ball coming to me, I'm looking at the ball. That's my first and only thought is that ball. I need to make sure that I'm there where that ball drops. And Kane's He already knew that he was there, so he had the time to look at Son. But then having looked one way to see where Son was, he flicked it with the other side of his head because he knew where he was on the pitch. Had he used this side, it would have gone too far wide. But because he understood where he was on the pitch, he thought, I need to make it so that Son can run in on goal. You can't teach that. That is absolute elite football from Kane. And it's a basic flick on. He doesn't even have to jump. He's under no pressure, but still to have that thought process and be able to do it, he is world class. And I'm really happy that we didn't take whatever money was offered for him last summer, as some people wanted us to do.
I was wondering how long it would be before you smugly pointed that out once again.
We've done this on another show. Do you want to do it again? I'm happy to go there.
No, but the same is true for this summer. If Kane leaves on a free age 31, I'm fine with that. We keep him as long as we can. He's that good.
Is he the best player? Question for you, Dave. Is he the best player in the world right now?
In the world?
In the world.
Well, Benzema's doing all right at the moment. I'm trying to think of anyone else.
As an all-round player, I think he is. Like we said, he hasn't scored for 3 games or 4 games, whatever it is, but it's just the assists and the everything else. So I think as a complete player, he is.
I mean, he's up there. I mean, look, all I'm asking is when we get to a crucial top game that he shows up and performs. That's my one of my few criticisms of him. Okay, we don't need to go through the list of cup finals, semi-finals, and all the rest of it. The North London derby, whether it is the decider for 4th or not, he needs to show up for that and play. Right. So that's my only criticism of him.
There is a problem with that.
What's the problem?
I think Shan's come into that game.
Well, then we're screwed, aren't we?
It'll be over by then.
I absolutely hope so.
I hope so, because it would be such a nice way, just for once, for the team and the club that we love to have done the business. 2 games to go. We're all got our feet up, sipping champagne, and all very happy. But it's us. They're going to take us to the wire, and that's why I get more grey hairs.
Was it a couple of seasons ago where we played them at home and like if we won, then they couldn't go above us? It's going to be like that, I think. We'll have the chance to finish them off at home. And Kane, I mean, it's only last season. Was Kane's goal against Arsenal at home last season? It might have been 2 seasons ago, but I know it was in front of no fans. But the one where Son had the ball and Kane came around the side and just lashed it with his left foot.
That was season before, I think. Yeah.
Kane does the business against Arsenal. If that counts as a big game, I wouldn't worry about it, Dave. He scored plenty of goals against Arsenal.
He's he's prolific against Arsenal, to be fair.
Yeah, okay.
And he turned up against City, didn't he? When we were worried that maybe he wouldn't turn up.
Oh yeah, but Dave
Dave
thinks that was just to advertise his footballing skills to Manchester City.
Because
they're completely unaware of his talent, so that he needed to audition.
That was a shop window display for Man Candy to enjoy.
Honestly, the conspiracy theories. There's just no end to the limit of them in your head, Dave.
Excuse me, do not liken me to Matt Letizia, please.
No, he's got talent. 5 minutes later.
Well, to be fair, they both married Australians, so.
Fair.
He married what's the face from Home and Away.
Yeah, he did.
I didn't. Anyway, can we please move on?
We can move on. We definitely don't want to get into marriage.
No, move on.
5 minutes later, Sonny's hat trick. How much does he owe Kulusevski for that goal, HG?
I mean, what, 70%? I mean, it was a great move, but Kulusevski put Mings on his butt, and that was the key moment. After that, he had time to look up, and Son just found a pocket of space. But I mean, Son put it in up against the post before it went in. It was a brilliant finish. But Kulusevski, as we talked about, he makes good decisions. That is it. He makes good decisions. And if he can get defenders on their butt inside the area, you know that one of our players will find the space to shoot. And Son, once his confidence is up, usually finds the corner. So maybe 70% is a little bit high because Son obviously did the hard work. It wasn't an easy shot to hit first time and going off the corner, but Son's capable, and Kulusevski was a massive part of that goal.
I don't remember.
Go on.
Sorry, Becky. Go on, Becky.
I was just saying, I was watching Kane because I was thinking I want Kane to score here, head it to the far post, and if you watch Kane, he kind of backs out of the way, knowing that Son is going to hit it straight in. Yeah. So then again, there's that kind of connection that they've sort of practiced it in training. That Kane, this isn't a cross for Kane. Son's going to shoot it straight in.
Telepathic, just like me and HG.
But it was also it was a move that started from the back, so we did build it up from the back. I think even Emerson did a good pass.
He was, pretty sure. Yes, he did. Yeah, he did.
I know it's 3:30 in the morning, and maybe I was hallucinating, but I thought it was a great move from the back. So this stuff about we turned into a long ball team. I mean, the Romero pass for the other goal, which was a beauty, and we're not a long ball team. It was a great move.
Did someone genuinely say that we're a long ball team?
Well, as on the pod where you and all cheese said to listen to the pod as well, where you get great debates, humour and intellect, and I was also on it this week.
Get it down your ears.
Yeah, Franco was putting forward an argument that we've turned into a long ball team, and I said we're hardly the crazy gang from the 80s now, are we? So have a listen to that, make your own decision. But nor are we George Graham's Arsenal either. So it's great to see.
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all good podcasts.
All good devices, even on your iPod. The other thing but I'm worried about Kane very selfishly because I captained him in my fantasy team. I've been in the Cheese Room Fantasy League. I've been top for weeks. I've now slipped down to third, and I've got Kane as I don't know what to do about Kane. Do I put Son in? Difficult.
Do you know the disappointment for me of Conte's game management was he didn't sub Kane. I was thinking he's going to take him off, and then he nearly got beaten up absolutely mugged off by Ashley Young of all people. Ashley Young, who must be about 50 by now. He's older than you, Dave. And he is hacking Harry down, a fellow Englishman in midfield. And I'm going, Conte, what are you doing at this point? Just get him off the pitch. The game is won. Very frustrating. That's my only gripe.
It does make you wonder if there are clauses in Kane's contract. I mean, it really does, because we know he's underpaid basic because he's at Spurs, that he has various bonuses maybe that does play a part, because there is no logical reason when you've got Bergwijn, who's doing quite well for Holland and for Spurs, itching to come on, and he would be the natural replacement in this case for Kane. It's worrying, but let's hope he's fine.
It's just strange, to be honest.
And as well, you see when Son went off, how disappointed he was. He kind of looks up to the sky, and they said in commentary, didn't they? I watched it by yesterday, saying I think it's the first time they haven't seen Son smile. But I think it's because Son was hoping he'd be able to assist for Kane.
Yeah, I don't remember Son scoring many hat tricks. I've not got the stat in front of me.
The Southampton game where he had 4 goals, 4 assists from Kane.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah,
very good.
Is there another one apart from that? Is that his second career hat trick?
I think that, well, certainly league-wise, I think it's.
I think that's the only one in the league. I can't remember the cup one.
Well, he's been prolific this season, really. So he's 17 goals in the Premier League this season from Son, which is, very, very respectable. And if you don't count penalties, which unfortunately the scorers table doesn't, John, he's ahead of Salah. So for goals from open play. So there you go. And everyone's, having a group wankfest over how good Salah is. So
well, I think he's having a bit of turn down in form. And Son's on the up again, hopefully. So I do believe that he will catch him.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. And we can see goal involvements here. Look at this.
Yeah.
So great graphic that.
Yeah, really, and Doherty's on it as well.
Doherty, I'm so sad about Doherty.
I saw the stat about how Spurs have scored more goals under Conte this season in the league than Arsenal have all season.
Yeah.
And considering he only joined, end of October, something like that? Yeah. So he missed 2.5 months of the season, and we've still got more goals since than Arsenal scored all season. We have become a bit of a machine in the last, 6-7 games. And we're scoring, 3 or 4 a game, it seems now. So Son has a really good chance. If our front three stay fit, the 3 of them will create enough chances and to hopefully score. My only worry, because obviously I'm a Spurs fan, is that now we've had 2 games in a row where we've basically almost scored with every shot we've had. It felt like, and you're always going to have one of those games where you have 5 or 6 really good chances and you don't take one, or you don't take enough. I'm nervous that that's going to happen now. But the way our front three is playing, we should be expecting to get at least 2 a game. I mean, really should.
Just on your point, Becky, Salah's only scored 5 goals in the Premier League since the 16th of December. And Solly, obviously, 6 in his last 3 games. Can he catch the Egyptian, or will he walk like an Egyptian?
Oh,
I can't believe
I think for Salah, going away to the African nations has affected him. Obviously, they didn't win it, but, and then they had the World Cup qualifier again, didn't they, against Senegal? And all of that, I think, is getting to him, and the contract talks that he is or isn't having in. And, he's not performing. He's not keeping up with the standard that he would have expected of himself, which is why I think Sonny is peaking, hopefully, at the right time, which I said to someone on Twitter yesterday, because we're saying about, obviously all the results went for us this weekend, and I cannot remember a weekend like that for such a long time where we've kind of matched or done better, and everybody seems to be clicking at the right time. And someone said, it's all going to go wrong, and we're Spurs and we're used to it. And yes, while we are used to it, everything seems to be coming at the right time, and maybe we are due some luck.
Maybe. Finally. Well, look, this is the top scorers list for Spurs of all time, and Son is now in the top 10. Obviously signed a contract extension recently as well, so I mean he could go on quite high up that list, couldn't he, Dave?
Len Dukerman, great player, 47 to 57. I used to watching him as a kid, and I thought I'd get that joke in before you did.
Well, I was there right on the tip of my tongue, actually.
I know. I reckon by the time he's done, he would probably get up to 5th all-time scorer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he'll beat Defoe.
Yeah, I think so, which is a great achievement. And, I saw his first goal with my boys against Palace. Fantastic. So it's been great watching his career progress the way it has. I mean, that first season he had with us, he got a bad injury. He was looking a bit dodgy. He was thinking about leaving, and Poch persuaded him to stay. And he's never looked back since then. So it's great. We love him.
We do love him.
We do
love him.
Everyone loves him.
Great player. Yeah. So, as we were saying, Sonny and Cooley got to go off, but not Harry, unfortunately. And Ashley Young tried to chop his legs off with a machete, but wasn't to be. Where do you stand on Graham Souness, Becky? Do you like him, or is he frustrating?
Well, being married to a Liverpool supporter, it's quite hard having to listen to Souness. But yeah, he's talking nonsense. He's just salty. They don't like it in the media when Spurs things are going well for us. We could name numerous pundits. One of the best things about going to all these Spurs games is I'm not having to listen to Alan Smith anymore, and it's delightful. It's just another bitter pundit. I don't know what they've got against Spurs, but
Graham Souness was released, wasn't he, from Spurs as a youngster?
No, he ran away. He ran away. He was
ran away to up north, didn't they?
Yeah.
But the idea to say that we didn't deserve to win, no matter what XG said, we won 4-0 away. So how can we not deserve to win? It doesn't go on chances created, does it?
As you brought it up, the nonsense that is XG is here. Incredible.
Yeah, it doesn't go on shots on target or chances made. It's on getting the back of the net. And although we didn't have as many shots, we were clinical, and we've been clinical in recent weeks. That's what's so lovely, is that you expect when we have a chance for it to hit the net.
Yeah,
and it is doing.
My stance on Souness is the same as.
Oh God, I don't know about that.
I wouldn't go that far.
HP, you're nodding. You agree?
Well, I think, if you hate Souness that much, then it would work, wouldn't it? Like, I'm lucky that I don't get to hear any of this. I only hear people's comments on what he said. But
do you want to know what he said?
I've heard a lot of it. But...
He said Spurs got away with one, basically. And, they were really clinical, but they won't win like that every week.
Do you know what? If the game had finished at half-time, then that would have made sense. We got away with one. We won 1-0. And we got battered, and we got one. We scored early, and that was it. That would make sense. But
then HG, and then the attention turns to Harry Kane leaving. He just starts talking about Harry Kane and how Harry Kane, will want to go somewhere else and all the rest of it. What are you talking about?
Harry Kane may well want to go. It all depends on what office he's got. Harry Kane wanted to go last summer. We all know this, but I think with Conte in charge, they have to talk about it. They have to talk about it, because if they didn't, then what else?
Well, we've just won a game 4-0. Why not talk about that? I mean, that would be a good start, wouldn't it? Why not talk about how Conte's turned the side around since Christmas? Why not talk about...
But they don't enjoy talking about Spurs doing well while the game is going on, right? They have to create some... Yeah, exactly. But if they don't like doing it while the game is going on, they're not going to do it after the game is finished. Yeah. I understand that Spurs fans, obviously we feel a bit slighted, but this is what Sky do, right? We are not one of their chosen teams.
No.
And unfortunately, we are basically the next best. And so therefore, we become the one who gets it the most. You expect that, because of history or whatever, they would want Spurs and Arsenal to finish out of the top four. Because we maybe have the least world brand or whatever it is they're basing it on, but they know that City and Liverpool aren't are kind of untouchable. Chelsea won the Champions League last year, so it's because of who's going to be fourth, and they want Man United to be that fourth team. They shouldn't.
Man United. We seem to spend more time talking about Man United after a Spurs game than Spurs.
But that's probably because they got Gary Neville in the studio, right?
Well, he's not in the studio normally. He's on commentary. But, I mean, the one that makes me laugh the most is Roy Keane, who actually I quite like listening to because he's entertaining. And then he'll say all this shit about Spurs, like basically, it's Spurs, soft underbelly and all the rest of it. And then at the end of it, he goes, I really like Spurs. I want them to do well. It's like... What are you talking about?
He was a Spurs fan as a kid. His father was his favourite player.
Yeah.
He was a Spurs fan.
And this Souness says he remains a Spurs fan as they were his first love. Mate, you just spent the last 45 minutes slagging us off.
Maybe he's into tough love.
Let's be fair. If you go on Spurs Twitter, there's a fair few that do exactly the same, and they are Spurs fans that pay and go and watch the games. It's... So sometimes as Spurs fans, we are extremely harsh on our own team because we know what we want to be. And for many years, Spurs have been that soft underbelly side, the side that has a load of talent, but there's all fur coat and no knickers. That was Spurs. Right now, with Conte in charge, you can imagine that if we do get fourth and we are in the Champions League and Conte does kind of solidify us even more, then Roy Keane will start praising us a lot more because he'll see what he thinks a successful football team should look like. Right now, they will still say it's questionable because they will look back on those run of games that was one loss, even though a load of those were cup games, and think maybe there's something to be improved upon. But we've won 4 in a row. You'd expect if we win the next 2 or 3 that they can only praise Spurs, and then they probably will. But right now they're trying to create some kind of drama.
Yeah, they like to shock people, don't they? It's too boring to say nice things and agree with each other, so they like to have that kind of shock element, and that's
what me and HG do Becky, quite often. But don't tell anyone. Mika Richards is all right, actually. I like Mika. He's funny.
Apart from his laugh.
I like him bantering with Roy Keane.
I like his laugh.
Yeah, he's got a lovely laugh. But he banters with Roy Keane, and it reminds me very much of me and a certain person in the cheese room. I'm mentioning no names whatsoever, but here he is. Yeah. Could be the cheese room's answer to them.
Yeah, the person saying there about Righty, because they asked him, didn't they, on Match of the Day, who you think get top 4, and he did say, although it's paining him to say it, he did say he thinks Spurs will get top 4. Right, quite honest.
Righty's a mate of my cousin's, and he went round to my cousin's house and he made him drink a cup of tea out of his Tottenham mug. So he's a good bloke, Righty. I like Righty. I mean, we all sang the songs against him in the 90s, and I'm standing at the clock end and all the rest of it, and all that about his missus and other things. But I do like Righty. I think he's a great pundit. I just think it's a kind of generational thing. There's a load of ex-Liverpool in the media, ex-Man United. We gate crashed the top 4 party, 5, 6, 7 years ago. They don't like it. Even if we get top 4, the narrative will be, will Kane stay or will Conte stay? It's the same old. BBC, Sky, Daily Telegraph. And then when we are abroad, we get the BN feed, which goes around. They sometimes stack the co-commentator as ex-Arsenal or used to play for the opposition team. Same old.
I think the extra inch, just listen to me, because I've always said we can make 4th. In fact, I've done various polls on it. If you want to trawl my Twitter history, it's all there. I did trawl my Twitter history, actually. And, I think I asked a question. I can't remember which defeat it was. Might have been the first Man United one. And I said, who will get top 4? Will we get top 4? 93% of people then said, no, we won't. So
had Nuno been sacked at that point?
Yeah. This was under the frustrating losses under Conte.
Okay.
There was a couple of really poor performances, weren't there? And where Conte was losing his shit big time, and talking about walking out, and Twitter was melting down, and all the rest of it. What a difference a couple of months make. And we've got some graphics to illustrate such from a conversation that we were having in the cheese room. So this is, I can't. Do you know what date this was?
It was a month
4
ago.
weeks ago.
That was the 14th of March. That one.
4 weeks ago. So 45 points.
Oops, sorry.
That's all right. 45 points. Arsenal there on 51 with a game in hand, and fast forward to now. So, what a difference a month makes, eh?
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. We won 4 games in a row. Our goal difference has gone up by 12. Arsenal have lost 3 out of 4. Okay, the Liverpool game we probably expected them to lose, but the 2 results, the last 2, Palace and Brighton, have been fantastic. I mean, literally fantastic. I was on the train down to Devon last week when they played Palace, and I happily cheered every goal. I didn't care. I was in the quiet carriage. I'm listening to Jonathan Pearce, the little shit. And I was thinking, this is just, it was just a lovely, back in England for the first time in 2.5 years, and I'm listening to Jonathan Pearce, the Arsenal fan, commentate on Arsenal losing. It was glorious, absolutely glorious. And it's weird that, I mean, I've said all summer, or all season, excuse me, that 4th place is almost like the tallest dwarf. right? This idea that no team is really going to be that good, whoever gets it. But if Spurs get it and do it by a few points, 5 points plus, we'll have deserved it. We're now closer to Chelsea than we are to West Ham, and we've done that in a month. That's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. So the players deserve all the credit because they're the ones that put in the performances. But it's you don't want to get too confident. Of course you don't, because we're Spurs fans. No. We're all thinking about Brighton, and we're all thinking Brighton went to Arsenal and won. They could do the same to Spurs. They could.
Yeah. And Brentford, I think Brentford's a tricky one as well, because Brentford are on such a good bit of form, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
And that'll be quite an emotional game, I think, Brentford.
Burnley. Yeah, that's what it was. Burnley. That's when I did the poll. Where 93% of people. Burnley away, 23rd of February.
So when was Man United away? Because definitely after that.
That was 12th of March, I think.
Yeah, that was
that was when that shot was taken. We just lost to Man United, and we were 8th in the table, and it didn't look good.
No,
even if we'd won the last 4 games, I don't think any of us thought that we'd win it by a combined 12 goals.
12. Yeah.
I mean, that's we're on a tear, and no one really saw it coming. As well as we played at Man United, I think it was just it's weird to see Spurs score so many, and I am waiting for that one game where we create all the chances and we can't put one in. But right now, it looks good.
Paddy, Manager of the Month award, Kirstrick again. It hasn't it? I mean, Arteta, literally. I mean, I've got to say, I was praying that Conte didn't win it, and he's in real danger of winning it this month.
Yeah, he is.
So let's just hope that. Well, we just all need to take union and vote for another manager. Whoever else is up for it, the whole of Spurs Twitter needs to vote for the other guy.
Yeah, do it.
We definitely do not want Conte to win it. Conte doesn't win it. He doesn't need that. He only wants to win the league. That's the only trophy he's looking at. Yeah. I think we're all a little bit like that, Nick, right now. Absolutely. We don't want to be overconfident whatsoever. Gov, I'm over for Brentford and Leicester. We'll not lose those games. Can't wait. Hopefully get to meet you, Gov. I will be there for Leicester at home soon.
Gov's been in America for too long, because that's way too positive for a Spurs fan. Gov, I love you, mate, but I want some of that positivity. I'm just thinking about Brighton. I'm not thinking about anything else. I know what games are coming in what order, but I've said this a lot this week. If we do beat Brighton, because we play them with the first game this weekend, I think.
Yeah.
If we beat Brighton, we're 6 points ahead, and then the pressure is on everyone else. And for Spurs to be the banter club, as we put the pressure on and actually didn't do anything. It's nice to be in the position where actually we're kind of the experienced side right now, and anyone who's chasing us they're the inexperienced ones. So let's hope. I don't care how we do it. 1-0 off of Emerson Royal's butt, and I'm happy with that. But if we can go 6 points clear Saturday lunchtime, I don't really care what happens the rest of the weekend. I'm made up, absolutely made up.
Yes to this, definitely, Gov. We'll definitely have some whiskey. 186 people watching, only 86 likes. So let's get those 100 likes of everyone. If you're watching, please do hit the like button. It takes you seconds, means the world to us. That would be great. And as Paddy points out, actually, if you think of it, the curse has helped us massively. Got Nuno the sack, and it screwed up Arteta. So, long may it continue. As long as Conte doesn't win it, we're happy. In other news, Christian Romero avoided a yellow card again. It does seem to be, and I did put the bet on because I'm now getting slightly superstitious about it. I keep betting that he's going to get booked, and since I've been doing that, 3 games on the bounce, no yellow for Romero. Dave, what's going on? Romero he's like a new man.
I think I pointed out about 3 or 4 weeks ago that he needs to improve on set pieces. He needs to improve on his impetuousness that gets him into trouble all the time. And, definitely with the Villa game, we had loads of set pieces against us. We didn't concede. I know Lloris made great saves, but I think we will just... what is just for men?
Men's hair dye.
I don't need hair dye. Thank you very much. Where was I? But Romero, so the impetuousness that gets him to trouble, he seems to have cut that out a bit. The set pieces, we've done better on set pieces on the last couple of games. I mean, he is a great player. He brings the ball out of defence really well. Great pass for that goal, not a long ball, just saying. And, he may be the example where we spent, 40 million plus, and he's a good player. He's still got a bit to go, but, he's obviously a huge upgrade on the Davison Sanchez's and the Tanganga.
I thought he was very lucky to not get booked. There was one incident in the first half where he probably should have got booked. But I was watching the ref quite a bit, and he sort of went in for a tackle that was maybe a 50-50 or worse. The ref did sort of look at him and point to say, "Don't do that." And he did that 5 or 6 times, and each time I kept thinking, well, he's going to run out of chances now. He keeps giving him another chance, but he was sort of talking to him to say, "Don't do that." So I really like that side of it. I know the ref was poor and he ref the match poor overall, but that kind of speaking to Romero and saying, don't do that. And I thought that maybe he's learning a little bit more about the pace of the game and what to go in. I just loved the little flicks that he tried to do. And there was one down by the corner, wasn't there, where he tried to flick it over the defender and it hit him and went out for a corner. Things like that he needs to get rid of because that's showboating. But the crowd love him. He's another one. We've taken to him really quickly. Richarlison thing, just, everybody loves that and remembers that sort of thing. But yeah, you're quite right. He needs to mature a little bit in that sense, particularly when it's big games and there's a lot riding on it. Is he all right now? If he gets booked at Brighton, is it all fine? Is that it?
See, I mean, I saw Gov came up with the same question. So thankfully, after game 32, so Brighton is the final game where it will matter. The problem is, and this is where I'm not sure, for example, I think he's had 8 bookings, so he's 2 away. So if he gets booked, then there's no issue. And then it gets wiped off and he can go the rest of the season, doesn't matter. But I don't know, if he gets 2 yellows and gets sent off, I have a feeling that would count as going to 10. So he'd get the 1 match ban for having a red card and then a 2 match ban on top for reaching 10 yellows in 32 games. So if that was to happen, and that would be the worst case scenario, then I do think that he'd be out for 3 games, which would be horrific. But if he just gets 1 yellow, then there's no problem, absolutely no problem. But there again, there's always that part of you that thinks, like that worst thing is going to happen. But no, like if he's gone 3 games, Brighton might play nice football. Never going to get close enough to Spurs' goal. Really, let's hope that Romero does the business again. But I do think it's possible that he might get hit with that 2 match ban still.
And of course, Becky was there, and this was the atmosphere in the stadium. Oh, isn't that nice? I take it that was Tottenham get battered, right?
Yeah.
I love that we sing it. There is nothing more British than Spurs fans taking a chant that was meant to ridicule us and just being like, "No, we'll sing it when we're winning, thanks."
We've done that before, haven't we?
Yeah, apparently. Some people would say that. I'm not getting involved in that, but I do love the fact that something that the entire league seemed to have decided is only for Tottenham. We've just turned around and said, "Fine, we'll sing it when we're 2-0, 3-0 up at your house," and there's nothing you can do about it because. Like, I remember going to an Arsenal pub here to watch the Danny Rose goal, right? The his debut goal, and I was in an Arsenal pub in Vienna, and I spent the whole night going, "We're so shit, and we're still beating you," because they couldn't respond to that, even though I didn't believe it. I was safe, but yeah, it's along those lines. I genuinely, I love it.
Just on this, HG, just indulge me for a second. Your mum's in the chat tonight.
Oh yeah,
Highlandy. And you did the Edge at the stadium, right?
Yes, I did.
About this on the air yet? So, did you enjoy that? Something you would like to do with me, maybe next time? Or
I enjoyed the music they were playing beforehand. They had some good '90s dance tunes up there to try and, I guess, get you in the mood. I'm not great with heights. I didn't enjoy it. There's a moment where they tell you to put your foot on the edge, and I look over and I was like, I don't know if I can do this, but I did it. So maybe I closed my eyes. Maybe I thought of anything else. But my mum and I, we did throw ourselves off the stadium, and it was never again. Never again.
Fair play.
Felt like that many times in the 90s.
Have you done it, Becky?
No, I'm not very good with heights either. I'm better when I can, like, when you do Via Ferrata, that's the one that you hold on and walk along. I need to have something under my feet. So, yeah, maybe one day. I know Jack would love to do it. Jack would do it with me.
It is good. I can watch.
No, Adrian. To be fair, Adrian. So I'm there, and I'm panicking a little bit. I'm not enjoying this, and I look over. There's two people that go down at once, and I look over at my mum. And my mum. Sorry, Mum, for saying this. My mum is in her 60s, late 60s, and I look over, and she's just hanging off the edge, waiting for me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, now I really have to do it. But yeah, like if it's my mum was on cloud 9 for a good 6 or 7 hours afterwards. She really loved the adrenaline rush, and all I wanted to do was just eat and like forget the whole thing had happened. There was nothing enjoyable about it for me. But yeah, I've done it, so I can put that on my gravestone.
I loved it. I'd do it again.
Yeah, no, I feel free. I'm sure it's great for those, but I don't enjoy those things. I mean, even doing the walk when you go around the cockerel, I was fine, but I'm glad I wasn't standing there for like 20 minutes like some of the others was. I was at the back of the group.
Yeah,
I made sure that I decided when I was going to do it. I wasn't going to just stand there and while she gives the spiel about how big the cockerel is and
it's
what
a
gas
long
it is to it
spiel
and all
as well. It's a really long spiel.
You can be standing there 15, 20 minutes easily while she's talking to you. And I was like, no, thanks. I'll wait back a bit. But I've done everything there is to do at Spurs, and I've not seen Spurs lose or even drop any points there. So I'm a good luck charm, if nothing else.
Just on this, you did enjoy the food in hospitality, definitely.
Yeah, the salmon was good. I didn't like the pork belly so much, but the salmon was really nice.
The pork belly was nice. It was just a bit small. The salmon was on the point. Did you gain any weight on your return to Austria? Have you weighed in? Or
I haven't weighed myself. To be fair, I was hoping that I was going to be too heavy to do the edge jump because there's a weight upper limit.
Weight limit.
Yeah, you've got to be 120 kilos, which is 21 stone or something stupid. But I was hoping maybe that I would be too heavy to do it.
But they don't weigh you, do they? So
no, I definitely ate far too much when I was in England because you have to. I had everything that I haven't had for 2.5 years. Pie and mash, fish and chips, Scotch eggs even.
I was saying, I liked HD. I liked watching your little kind of like travelogue from when you got off the plane and was on the bus, and then you showed your little places that you went for your food. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
was this on Twitter or on Facebook?
It was on Twitter. It was on Twitter.
Missed out there.
No, weirdly enough, I saw a guy. This is not Spurs, so it's boring. But I saw a guy try and do 24 hours of train journey from London, and he had a similar thing. How far could he get within 24 hours of leaving London? And I just thought, well, I don't know if anyone's going to really care, but it's fun for me. So I got a salt beef bagel from Brick Lane.
Oh, nice.
I bought some Morley's fried chicken, which I'd always heard about but had never tried. I had some of that. I ate far too much, but I had a really good time, so it was well worth it.
And did you like the soapy premium? Because it is on point. I bet you didn't even know, did you?
No, I mean, the one thing about hospitality that was awful, there ain't enough toilets.
There you go.
Bearing in mind, we have to say this. I don't know if it was pointed out on previous shows, but Caller missed Ben Davies' equaliser because he'd gone inside to get his free drink at half time.
I didn't entirely miss it, to be perfectly honest.
You were inside. You were
I could see it on the TV inside.
Yeah, come on now. And then, because you went all the way to Spurs to watch it on telly, did you? And then Seb missed.
I am a good luck charm. Whenever I go to the Lav or go for a beer or whatever cause it is to leave my seat, we score.
I'm telling you, Adrian, there may well be 160 toilets, but they ain't in hospitality. There is a massive line. Seb missed the second goal. Was it Doherty who got the second? Seb missed that because he was going for a slash. There aren't enough toilets in hospitality. There's lots of food.
Mate, to be fair.
Yeah, well, yeah. If we score, but I go for the football, not for anything else. Not for the raspberry almond slice they gave us at half time, which you guys loved.
That's where you're going wrong.
Yeah, no, I want to sit and watch the football. I am definitely a poor man when it comes to football.
I think there's a place for both, but that's getting away from the subject at hand. Fourth place, how are we feeling? Obviously, I'm really chipper because I've said we'll do it all the way through, and I love being proved right. Dave, you must have like some sort of optimism about this, surely.
When the job's done, I'll be celebrating. When the job is done, we're all too seasons and conditioned to cocking things up. We've got, I'm very excited. We're playing really well. We've got momentum. Other teams seem to be falling around us for the fourth place. We've still got some, Brentford away. We've got Brentford away. We've got Liverpool away. So as I said, once it's if fingers crossed and everything, that's all I'm going to be thinking about Tottenham wise in the next 4 weeks or whatever we've got left. Is we got a great chance, and I thought we'd blown it, right? But we've got a great chance, but we are one injury away from real problems. But let's see. We're playing.
We have had that injury, haven't we?
Well, that's one.
Irish Cafu's out.
Yeah, so that could be tricky, but we just got to concentrate on getting the job done and let the other teams worry about themselves. I know I'm talking like a cliched football man here, but that's the way I feel. So I'm excited. We've played really well the last few games last month, but we've got to get the job done.
Brentford beating everyone, Becky.
I was just going to add to that to say that it's in our own hands. And while it still remains in our own hands, that's the really positive thing. So there will be times probably where we won't win, we might draw, or there might be the odd defeat. But while it still stays in our hands, I think that's a really hopeful thing. But yeah, I agree. I think Brentford are playing with real confidence as well. And Ericsson is playing so well for them that, yeah, Brentford's going to be a tricky one. I think it'll be quite an emotional game as well. And hopefully, the least we get is a draw out of that and maybe more. But yeah, I think that will be tricky. Liverpool's going to be tricky. They played such a high line yesterday against City that if they play like that, I think we've got a real chance. It's again like we did to before. Are we going to turn up for Liverpool? Is it going to be so hyped that we don't? But, that kind of strength and sort of mentality is there at the moment, and we need to keep that. It's interesting that Conte called them, last week it was 8 cup finals and now it's 7 cup finals, and that's a really weird phrase to use because we don't A, play in many cup finals, and B, turn up in many of the semi-finals. So it's a weird phrase to use, but if the players keep coming out and saying we've got 7 cup finals left and that sort of thing, and hopefully that mentality is there and we keep it in our own hands.
Yeah, I get his point, but someone needs to point out our track record in finals too.
Becky's point is the only point worth making. It's in our hands. And the same is true of Arsenal, to be fair, right? Like if they win all their games, that includes beating us. And so they would go fourth. But where would you rather be? You'd rather be in Spurs' position.
Yeah.
We really would. Like you look at previous seasons and you think 70 points might be enough, 72 points might be enough. Sod that. We just think the next game, if we beat Brighton, we're 6 points ahead. And like Arsenal are not going to win every single one of their games. I can't see that happening. They've got to go to Chelsea. They've got to go to West Ham. They've got Man United at home. They've got to go to Spurs. They are not going to win all their games. So it does look good. I'll say that. But beat Brighton and I'll be a lot more confident because that really is. I think that's going to be a massive game. If we don't beat them, all the other teams behind us will get a bit of confidence from it. We have to make sure we win on Saturday. That is everything.
Must be a Spurs night on TV. They just had the rerun of our weekend's game on, and now they're playing the Battle of the Bridge, the full length.
Well, that's not a good memory. That's not a good memory. I don't want to see that.
It's a good game.
No, it's a terrible memory. What? I don't understand why Spurs fans love that game. It's a terrible memory.
Yeah, I agree.
I just remember seeing Leicester celebrating in Vardy's kitchen afterwards as well, wasn't it? They showed that at the end.
Yeah.
It was a good game.
There's more of that Sky bias, caller, and you can't even see it. Come on. Well, that's a terrible memory for Spurs.
I didn't say it was a good thing or a bad thing, actually, but you've interpreted
it was Tottenham. Well, yeah, but I don't look at Tottenham losing and seeing the replay and think, oh, well, I'm glad they've got Spurs on tonight. No.
I think we drew, didn't we? We didn't lose.
Yeah, 2-2 drew, and that was it.
Yeah.
But we lost the title. I mean,
I agree. That was a bad night.
It was a terrible night.
It was an awful night.
Do you think that the Goons collapse is terminal, or are they going to bounce back from this, Becky? They look like they're in a bit of free fall at the moment, and not sure where they're points.
They've had some injuries as well, haven't they? And like I did say a few weeks back, their running is awful, but also they've got a lot of fixtures all at once, and it's getting on top of them, and that's what's turned out to be the case. They didn't play the fixtures for whatever reason, and now they've got fixture after fixture after fixture, and it's getting to them, and fantastic to see, and long may that continue too.
And the best thing is, sorry, I know I'm talking a lot, but Arteta will complain about the fact
wouldn't be you if you didn't.
I know, but Arteta will complain about the fact they have to play their midweek game at Chelsea, and then they go, Saturday morning, they've got Man United at home. Well, guess what Everton just did? They did exactly the same. They went to Burnley and lost, but they came around and got Man United at home and they won. There's no excuses. There is no excuses for Arsenal. It is on them now. They have to perform. And I don't think they will. I think Tierney is a massive loss. I think Partey is a massive loss. And as awful, again, this is too confident. But if we win our games in April, it might not even matter if Conte gets Manager of the Month. Because if we win those, we might be gone. We might be gone. So I'm sorry, but Brighton, please beat Brighton. Please beat Brighton.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Brighton obviously have used their 2 goals for this month up against Arsenal, so hopefully that puts us in good stead, doesn't it? But we'll talk about that extensively on Friday when we're back at 9 p.m. Just on this,
they love me. I'm the fun uncle.
Just on this. There is a point here, isn't there? Southampton will be well up for it, having got splashed at Chelsea. They'll be well up for this, won't they?
Yeah, but it's at the Emirates, isn't it?
No, it's at Southampton.
No, because we're at home.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I think Southampton are at Magaluf, to be honest with you. I think they're done for the season. So no, I think they might get a result there. They've had 2 bad injury losses, Partey and Tierney, and they've thinned out the squad. And maybe it's karma coming back to them for cancelling the game with us because they had 2 sniffles.
And sending everyone out on loan, aren't they? They're moaning about the loan system as well.
And the Zanya gate. Don't forget the Zanya gate.
And we had Romero and Son out for that game in January.
Yeah.
And I mean, granted, there is a chance. I don't want to say it, but there is a chance that might still be the case in May. But that was the time to play us. That was absolutely the time to play us, and they bottled it. Every gunner's a runner. Love it.
Every gunner's a runner. If you've got any questions for the Cheese Room this evening, do drop a super chat in. We'll try and take a couple of questions before we wrap up. Just in terms of the under 16s and under 18s, they both beat West Ham's youth teams at the weekend. This bodes well for the future. I've got some sort of graphic of some sorts. There you go. Look at that. 8-1. 8-1. Beautiful.
It's funny because this time of year we always get names that we've never seen before score for Spurs. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, there you go.
5-3.
So doing well across the board. I know Dave's got to leave us now. Dave, thanks very much for joining us.
Pleasure.
It's always a pleasure. What time is it there in Australia?
It's 7:42. Got to go at work time. And I'm working in the city as well, so I need to get going. So, HG, lovely to see you again. Back on the Cheese Room.
Take care.
He's lots taller in real life, by the way, Dave.
He's always tall. He's tall like that anyway. Come on. He's just tall. We all know he's tall. That wouldn't be a surprise to me.
Definitely.
Lovely to see you, Becky. Caller, thanks as always. And thanks everyone for watching. And see you soon.
See you later, Dave.
Cheers,
Dave.
Good day.
Bye.
So let's talk briefly while we're waiting for some questions to come in about relegation. That fight is heating up, isn't it? Everton, where did they get that result from, Becky?
They played at home. I think Everton are a different beast when they play at home. And they're a historic club. I know there's the whole Lampard thing as a Spurs fan, but certainly living up here as well, Everton are a huge club, and not that long ago were unlike ourselves. So it's better for the league that they do stay up. But yeah, there's a lot. There's got a lot going on behind the scenes, and the stadium, and the owner, and all of that. But yeah, they just pulled out of the bag because he wanted a reaction, and he got a reaction. I think the teams that are down there are down now because Burnley losing. Just very inconsistent. And you thought Burnley were going to go on a run then and go over Everton and kind of go from there. And with Leeds winning as well, I think those three they're gone now. Not going to catch anybody else.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think for Burnley to stay up, they've only won 4 games all season. They might have to win another 3 to do that, and that would be difficult. The Norwich game, that was a massive issue for them. Obviously, Norwich, bottom of the league. Burnley would have gone into that thinking, okay, we've got confidence, we can go and win. If they'd won there, then Everton would have been panicking, regardless of the Man United result. But now that 4 points is up there again, you think, okay, Everton will probably do enough. And I saw a stat today that Lampard's win percentage as Everton manager is basically the same as Gerrard's at Villa, which seems weird to think that might be true. But if it is, that victories is what's going to keep them up. They need 3 points because, I mean, Everton do have rough games. They've got to go to Liverpool. They've got they've got tough games, but it looks like hopefully Everton will stay up and then they sack Lampard anyway. That's what I want.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? That'd be nice.
He's out of his depth there. I think he doesn't. He's a bit too jovial and it's not quite working out. I don't really know. It's a very strange appointment. Like we said last week with the Delhi thing, that's very odd, and it just all seems a bit mismanaged over at Everton at the moment.
Yeah. Let's have a look. Question for HG: who's your next Kulu?
Lima, isn't it?
Yeah, Conrad Lima, absolutely.
Oh God.
What position are you thinking, Mark? I mean, my Twitter handle is Conrad Lima Fan Club President. I love Conrad Lima. Plays for Leipzig. He's a central midfielder, but he can play in almost any position. He's that good. I love Conrad Lima. I can't believe that Spurs would be his next club. I have a feeling he might be wanted somewhere bigger, but you never know how the dominoes fall. Like if everyone goes after Tielemans, like it seems they're going to this summer, then maybe Spurs will be there. But I think, weirdly enough, I could see Lima going to Liverpool. I don't want to say that, but Liverpool need to refresh their midfield, and Lima is the best midfielder I can think of. I'd love him at Spurs. I absolutely love Conrad Lima.
We know. I think you've renamed your Twitter handle.
Yeah.
Conrad Lima Fan Club or something of that.
Yeah, I love him.
So.
Conrad Lima is just a brilliant footballer, and he's still young. He's, I think, 24, maybe 25 in May.
Yeah.
Maybe even turning 24. 25 in May he'll be. He's the business.
I know. Gov wants to know left centre back thoughts. Go on, then you lead HG.
Is that me?
No, I mean I can talk or regurgitate what I've said before, but
I watch a lot of German football, so I would go there more. But there's a guy at Frankfurt. I think King Hoddle says I'm a Frankfurt supporter. I am. Frankfurt are my German team. And he's a French guy called Undicka. I know we don't like French players beginning with N, but
they have got a bad track record.
They do, but he's about 6'4", but he's good on the ball. He's comfortable. He's comfortable at left back. To me, he reminds me a lot of Vertonghen. He's like a taller Vertonghen, and I think he's also got a year left on his contract. It might be a good time to get him. So that would be. There are bigger names, absolutely, but I think Eintracht play in the Nou Camp on Thursday night. So if you're looking for a game to watch, Barcelona against Eintracht Frankfurt in the Europa League would be a really good game because I think the first game was 1-1 in Germany. So watch Frankfurt play. They are a really fun team to watch, and I'm not just saying that as a fan. They just are a fun team to watch.
I mean, there's a few names have been linked with Botman, Pau Torres. I'm sure there's many others. We talked about with Fabrizio Romano when we did the transfer talk. So, and then I read recently that left centre back's going to be the priority for us. Would it be the priority for you, Becky? Do you think in the summer window?
Well, Davis is, he's been there a long time now, and he's a stalwart, isn't he? And he bleeds Spurs, but his time is like Moura, isn't it? It's kind of coming to an end. And if there are people out there that want to come and either be that position or be a backup for David, and like we said earlier about rotating them when we've got more fixtures and more European ties, then
Okay. Question about Adama. I love the way it's phrased. So Adama might be available again. Would you go back in, or worse doubters prove correct? It depends where they're going to play him, really, and what better options there are to come in at right.
Does he play at wing back for Barcelona?
No.
No. Out on the wing.
Wouldn't fit, would it?
I don't think. I think at the time, he's been a long-term target for Spurs. So would it surprise me to see us move back for him? Absolutely no, it wouldn't. I'm quite sure we'd still be interested for like 20 million, 25 million. I think that would be a punt worth taking. I still do. I think he's got tremendous pace, very difficult to knock off the ball, wins a lot of free kicks, and he's played all right for Barcelona. He's got quite a few assists. So I don't think it would be a terrible signing. But by the same token, really we want a right wing back who is a right wing back, not adapting someone into that position. For me, so there are other players out there.
Because this is the problem we've had with Royal, isn't it? Is Royal didn't play? He played left back, didn't he, for Barcelona? Is that right? And now he's trying to play right back, and now he's playing right wing back. We need to sign somebody who's played in the position that he's going to play in Conte's system. This is where the arguments about Reguilon. Is he a winger or is he a right back, a left back? What does he actually do? We need someone to be playing in the current club in the position that we want them to make the transition over easily, because otherwise, as we said about Doherty earlier, they're just playing out of the position they're not used to, and it takes them longer to adapt, and that's where the criticism comes and the mistakes come and confidence is down and all of that. So I just think we need to sign players that already play in the position that we want them in.
Yeah. Brian Hill, well loved in Valencia. Would the panel send him off this summer? That's an interesting one, this HG. Me personally, difficult call, because you could probably get good cash for him that we could use elsewhere.
I expect we'd get our money back for him. I do think that would be about 30 million euros. If Conte's not going to play him, then he'll probably be sold. And I think that's it. Like, where does he fit into whatever Conte wants to do? I'm not sure he does. If he does, weirdly enough, it's as a wing back. Like, if I think around the world, and the wing backs that I know that I think are quality, most of them are wingers that are defensively aware, let's say, rather than defenders that are good attacking. If you've got the attacking fullbacks, then that's different. You've got defenders who are good going forward. But as a wing back, Hakimi is one who I think is defensively sound and very good going forward. But a lot of them are converted wingers, really. So if Brian wants to do that or wants to give it a go, then he may well stay. But I think that if we do want to raise a bit of funds to go and buy players that Conte actually wants, then it does make sense that people like Brian, who is clearly well liked in Spain, will go back to Spain, and it doesn't make him a bad player. Just means that it was a bad fit.
But I mean, we thought, in fairness, Doherty's time at the club was up until very recently. It still might be, but
he was a bad fit. I mean, that's just it. For what Nuno wanted to do, he was a bad fit. For what Jose wanted to do, he was a bad fit. For Conte, he's a perfect fit, and we saw that. So I think that's the big thing. But like, Doherty will probably stay now. Like, I do expect that to happen. But if Emerson could go back to Spain quite easily, and we'll be looking for a wing back on that side too. But wouldn't it be weird if, I mean, obviously if Adama's a Wolves player still, but it'd be funny if Adama goes back to Wolves, we buy him from Wolves, and then Emerson goes back to Barcelona. That would be kind of odd. Like, we just reset. The last year didn't happen. But
we don't talk about Nuno. No,
that's right.
No. We've been going an hour and nearly 50 minutes, so I think we're going to park it there. But I want to thank everybody for watching. Please do check out Patreon. £3 a month. We've had some lovely new patrons this month. Please do check that out. Merchandise coming to all you lovely patrons shortly. There is obviously channel memberships to explore if you haven't already. And follow us on all our socials. We're all on Twitter. Handles are on here. And in the meantime, thanks for joining me, HG.
Cheers. I really enjoyed it. It's been a long 3 weeks, but I'm back. I'm back for good now. Stop singing Take That at the back.
I was about to say back for good. It's always nice to have you back. There you go. That's as nice as I can be to you.
Cheers,
Becky, thanks once again for joining us from the real Cheshire borders.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Pleasure as always. Have a great week, everybody.
Yeah, it's always better after Spurs win, isn't it? And
Absolutely.
we'll be back Friday, 9 p.m, previewing our next, hopefully, victory against Brighton. And we hope to see you all there. So in the meantime, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.